Well, welcome to the Power of After show, and where we help you move ahead with your life at mid-career, halftime of life, maximizing your skills, your experience, and just defining how you want to live the rest of your life. And this today, we're talking about designing your lifestyle with intention. And it's such a great message. Many people don't consciously design their lifestyle, they sort of just drift into it. And we're creatures of habit, so our calendars fill up, our commitments accumulate, and before long, life just feels like super busy, but misaligned. Designing your lifestyle with intention, it means kind of stepping back to ask thoughtful questions about how you want to live, how you want to work, how much, and relate in this season of life, especially at mid-career or halftime of life. And this process isn't about starting over. It's about aligning what you already have with what matters most now. And at least every year, if not more often, I stop and evaluate where I'm at and what the road ahead really looks like in my life. And then I can better plan and cut what's unnecessary and not be overwhelmed. And so we're going to cover some of those basics of that planning in today's episode. So stay tuned. Power of After is for you at mid-career, halftime of life, helping you maximize your skills, resources, and experience. We have courses, products, and help to make this stage of your life your best and most purposeful ever. Don't miss a single article, free download, or podcast. Get all the latest at goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Most of us don't intentionally design our lifestyle. We just fall into patterns. And our calendars fill up, our commitments stack up, and before long we're busy, but we're not always aligned with where we truly want to be. And goals end up being put off sometimes for another year because of misalignment. Designing your lifestyle with intention, it requires a deliberate pause to assess where you are, what truly matters in this season, and what no longer fits. And at mid-career or the halftime of life, this isn't about starting over. It's about making thoughtful adjustments and decisions. By regularly evaluating the road ahead, you can simplify, prioritize, and move forward with clarity instead of feeling just overwhelmed. And in this show and article, we will walk through several foundational principles to help you do exactly that, starting with our core values. And this is the foundation of intentional living, those strong core values. I've talked about this quite a bit. Core values, they act as an internal compass. They guide our decisions, they clarify our priorities, and reduce decision fatigue. And when our values are unclear, choices just feel heavy and confusing. However, when values are clear, our decisions become simpler, even when they're a little more difficult. Now, I recently gave an example of my husband's decision not to promote to management with the Campbell Soup Company when our kids were young, because we'd have to move away, really across the country, from our immediate families. And I did this in a live stream, but you can see this on YouTube. I will put the link in the show notes. And that was years ago now, but that decision had a lasting effect. And our values kind of evolve a little bit with the seasons of life. What mattered most at the age of 30 may not hold the same weight at age 50. Intentional lifestyle design requires revisiting values regularly and asking whether our daily choices reflect those values. Faith, integrity, family, creativity, service, health, and freedom, well, those are common examples, but power comes from choosing what truly resonates with you. Now, that might sound overwhelming even now to some of you. So see the appendix in my book, Stop Circling. I really go into detail with this and give you kind of a worksheet to go by to help guide you through those core values. It's a great guide. Take advantage of that. When values lead our decisions, guilt decreases and confidence increases. So we begin by saying a confident Yes to what really aligns, and no to what doesn't, really without apology. So let's move on to maximizing skills that you've already earned. One of the greatest mistakes at mid career is undervaluing accumulated skills. Now, I've done this personally because I was discounting some of my skills as I've really not had corporate experience, and I was working with some of those who are in that field. But as a lifetime entrepreneur, I found that I have more experience than many do working a corporate job, and I've had to own that. Years of experience develop judgment, intuition, leadership, and problem solving abilities that can't be replicated just quickly. And this becomes even more important in this current age of AI as it is moving so fast. AI is not here to replace seasoned professionals, but to reward those willing to combine their experience with curiosity, structure, and all of this with flexibility and innovation with integrity. And I've written about this as well. Make sure that you look at some of our previous articles. Designing your lifestyle with intention means identifying the skills that you use effortlessly, not the ones others notice and rely on. So instead of chasing this constant reinvention, intentional living, it asks how those skills that you have already developed can be applied more strategically, creatively, or flexibly. Now, it takes time to think about this. It takes time to step back. And when skills align with our lifestyle goals, work becomes it just energizing and sustainable. It's not just exhausting. You stop proving yourself and you start contributing from your strengths. And so, for a good guide to help you work through this, see the core common denominator I've written about in several of my books. It really takes you through this. Also, my Hero Mountain Summit, we really go through this, and I help you walk through this. So let's move ahead to affirming our experience instead of starting over. So many people feel like, okay, now I'm going to do what I've always dreamed of doing. I need to really kind of start over. No, you don't. Your experience is not baggage, it's leverage. If you know anything about leverage, you know, boy, it's very, very powerful. You can see examples all around us of leverage, especially in the building industry. Every success, misstep, and lesson, it's refined your discernment. And at this stage of life, experience, it allows you to recognize patterns quickly, avoid unnecessary detours, and choose alignment over just approval. Most startups that eventually find huge success they've faced huge failures. Now, here's a couple of examples, and you can find so many of these online. So, rejected by investors and nearly broke, the founders of Airbnb famously sold cereal boxes to survive before refining their model and building a global hospitality brand. What a great story. And most of us have used an Airbnb place to stay. I definitely have. Sarah Blakely of Spanx faced years of rejection before manufacturers and retailers. That before her bootstrapped idea, it became a category-defining company. And how many women have used Spanx these days? And now there's a lot of copycats. But she was an innovator in that field. James Dyson created over 5,000 failed prototypes and was turned down by major companies before successfully launching his own Dyson vacuum brand. And you can find many of these stories. They're so inspiring. I love this podcast, How I Built This with Guy Raz. Just love hearing those stories. They're so encouraging. Spend time, listen to those stories, be encouraged. Intentional lifestyle design, it affirms your story rather than just dismissing it. And the question shifts from, what do I need to become, to how do I best use who I already am? And this perspective, it replaces pressure with confidence, and it opens the space for purposeful growth rather than frantic reinvention. We should always be wanting to grow and learn as a lifelong learner. And it's also a lesson in perseverance and tenacity. Don't give up too soon. There are so many illustrations of this. I have done podcasts about this. I've written about this, but you can find so many illustrations, especially if you study history. So let's move along to relationships. And here, I encourage you to pursue relationships that support your dreams. Relationships change and they shape your lifestyle more than people realize. The people that you spend time with, they influence your mindset, your energy, and expectations. And designing your lifestyle with intention, it requires honest evaluation of relationships. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about this, a little sensitive to some of you. Which ones of those encourage your growth and which provide accountability and perspective? And which of those relationships, they drain your energy or keep you anchored to outdated versions of yourself? And that's the tough one. If there are those relationships that do keep you anchored and do keep you discouraged, and I call them downer relationships, that, you don't spend as much time with those people. And it doesn't require abandoning people totally, but it requires prioritizing the proximity wisely. A small circle of supportive relationships often does more for fulfillment than a large network of shallow connections. And in my book, Women at Halftime, I introduce relationship circles. And it's a way to visualize this, and it's a way to be intentional about who we allow closest to us in this season of life. So very helpful. And not every relationship belongs in our inner circle. That's both healthy and necessary. Our closest circle includes those who know us deeply and support us consistently. They're very honest as well. But our outer circles, they hold meaningful but more seasonal or limited connections. And it's okay to define who those relationships are. And as our life shifts at halftime, these circles, they naturally just change. People move away as well. Those relationships will change slightly. And becoming intentional about those relationships, it helps to protect our energy. It helps to help us set healthy boundaries and nurture relationships that support who we are becoming next. So let's move along with some other purposeful decisions about our intentional living. And I wanted to put this in here because family's always been important to me. And I've entitled this little section, Inserting Time with Family on Purpose. Family time rarely happens just by accident. And at mid-career, halftime of life, family dynamics, they often shift as children grow more independent and when parents need increased care. And it places many of us in that sandwich generation. And so this season, it brings competing emotional time and financial demands that can quietly pull us in these multiple directions. And intentional living, it means deciding how present you want to be, not just how available, and how making family-centered choices before exhaustion makes them really for you. And designing family rhythms, shared meals, travel, traditions, or regular check-ins, it creates connection and memories that endure. Presence, not perfection. It defines meaningful family time. And the time we took to spend with our parents before losing them, it's some of the most precious memories that we currently keep in our hearts. And for about 5 years, instead of physical gifts, we intentionally gave gifts just to spend time together, which ultimately was a gift to us. As we remember those special times, I will never forget taking my parents to a dinner theater, and it was for the musical Singing in the Rain. And my dad could not quit talking about, they made it rain on stage. Oh, how did they do that? And he was kind of evaluating That is such a special memory. And don't don't throw those away. Don't lose those. Create those times. It takes intention. So let's talk about turning that intention into action with clear priorities. Intentional lifestyles, it requires clear priorities. Not everything can carry this equal weight. And so without prioritization, well, even good opportunities, well, they become burdens. And it's so easy to let the urgent just take over the necessary. And I guarantee this happens to most of us. In fact, it's why I keep my 10-minute timer in my office for certain projects. Now, this is very old fashioned. Okay. It's an old, you can hear it, egg timer. And I've created it. I've actually created my own. I call it focus time. But this works, especially for creatives like myself. I can start going on a rabbit trail and I can set this for 10 minutes at a time. It does work. I guarantee you. It's old fashioned, but things like this will really help you. You can set timers on your phone, anything that will work. This is just a fun reminder for me. Clear priorities, they help translate values into daily decisions, and they reduce that overwhelm. They protect your energy and restore margins of time. Also, saying no becomes easier when priorities are visible and honored. Nothing wrong with saying no. And this is why reviewing quarterly goals, both personally and professionally, it's so helpful. I do this regularly in my own life. I try to practice what I preach. And design happens when priorities show up on the calendar. It's not just on a list. So let's apply this. We talked about a lot today, but I'm going to sum this up here. We're going to apply this by living aligned, not rushed. And sometimes, as an illustration, I hesitate to even take time for a leisurely bath. But every time I do, I'm reminded how necessary it is. It gives me space to relax, to read. Yes, I read. And it resets my thinking. I mean, I don't read things that I could drop in the bathtub, but I read. It's very relaxing. Now, not everybody has a bathtub, but we all need something that helps us pause and refocus. And designing your lifestyle with intention, it doesn't remove challenges or the need to step away. It just simply reduces regret. And so when our values guide our decisions, skills are used well, our experience is honored, relationships are chosen wisely, family time is protected, and priorities are clear. And as a result, life feels aligned instead of rushed. And this is the heart of intentional living, choosing alignment over just autopilot and purpose over pressure. And you're not starting over, you're intentionally moving forward. So important with this point of life. And especially if you're facing retirement, you don't have to completely retire. You can just repurpose, you can refocus. So here are 3 steps you can apply right now. First, write down your top 3 core values for this season of your life. Again, look in that appendix of Stop Circling. It is a great one. You will really find that helpful. It goes into a little more detail, but at least the top 3. Identify one skill along with your experience you want to use more intentionally. This takes some thought. And look at that core common denominator. That is especially in several of my books, especially Women at Halftime, but it's in the others as well. I've Stop Circling. It's in there. It's also in Power of After. I go into the detail there with a lot of those skills. And then make one calendar change that reflects your priorities. What can you do differently this season of life, this quarter, this year, that reflects really your values, your priorities? Because your purpose is really grounded on your core values. I hope this has really helped you today. It's been such a good message for me to personally apply, especially as we start another year, as we get going on this first quarter, as this is coming out of a year. And so I hope this has really helped you to apply some of these principles as well for intentional living and intentional how you want to spend this year, this season of your life. Don't waste it. Thanks so much for joining me, Deborah Johnson. Make sure you connect with me on many of my social media. Also, goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter. You will get all of our current articles, all of our current podcasts, and even some bonuses. I give away a lot, and you'll get to see a lot of music there as well. Thanks so much again for joining me, and I'll look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye-bye for now. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. I love bringing you insights to help you maximize your skills, resources, and experience at mid-career and beyond so that you can make your next chapter your most impactful and purposeful yet. I'm Deborah Johnson, and I can't wait to be with you again next time on the Power of After show.